The Piggy Palace Massacre is one of the most notorious crimes in Canadian history. It was a violent and brutal event that took place on March 23, 1996, in Surrey, British Columbia, a suburb of Vancouver. The massacre resulted in the deaths of 6 people, and it remains one of the most tragic and shocking incidents to ever occur in the region. The Piggy Palace was a suburban home that had been converted into a strip club, and it was owned and operated by a man named Robert Picton. Picton was a notorious figure in the community, known for his strange behavior and his reclusive lifestyle. He was also a pig farmer, and he owned a large farm on the outskirts of Surrey. On the night of March 23, 1996, the Piggy Palace was hosting a party for about 60 people, many of whom were involved in the local sex trade. The guests included a mix of prostitutes, drug users, and other marginalized individuals. Many of them were there to engage in illegal activities, such as prostitution and drug use. At some point during the party, an altercation broke out between 2 guests. The situation quickly escalated, and a man named Dave Picton, Robert Picton's brother, intervened. Dave was known to be violent and aggressive, and he had a reputation for being involved in criminal activities. He quickly became embroiled in the fight, and the situation spiraled out of control. As the fight continued, Dave began to attack people with a weapon, later identified as a hammer. He struck several people, killing 2 on the spot and injuring several others. In the chaos that ensued, more people were injured as they tried to escape or hide. In the end, 6 people lost their lives, and many others were left traumatized by the experience. The aftermath of the Piggy Palace Massacre was devastating for the community. The families of the victims were left to grieve, and the survivors were left to deal with the emotional and physical scars of the attack. The police launched a massive investigation into the incident, and they soon discovered that the Piggy Palace was not just a strip club, but a hub of criminal activity. Robert Picton was quickly identified as a suspect in the case, and the police began to investigate him and his farm. What they discovered was truly horrific. Picton was a serial killer, and he had been preying on women in the sex trade for years. He had lured many of his victims to his farm, where he had murdered them and disposed of their remains. Over the course of several years, Picton had killed dozens of women, making him one of Canada's most prolific serial killers. His crimes were shocking, and they exposed the seedy underbelly of the sex trade in the Vancouver area. Picton was eventually arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder, but the investigation was complicated by the sheer scope of his crimes and the challenges of gathering evidence from his large and remote farm. The trial of Robert Picton was a long and difficult process, and it took several years for him to be convicted. In the end, he was found guilty of 6 counts of murder, but many believe that he may have been responsible for many more deaths. The Piggy Palace Massacre remains one of the most shocking and tragic events in Canadian history, and it continues to haunt the community to this day.